Alright guys, so we all know that the M50 Mark II has come out, it's been released, and the majority of us saw this as a pretty insignificant and really quite disappointing update or release from Canon in regards to the Canon EOS M50 Mark II. There was a lot of hope. I know even for me, there was a lot of things that, especially with all the rumors, that I was really looking forward to and I thought would be a great addition and would be a easy addition for Canon to make to this camera, to make it something that those of us that have an M series already, especially an M50 right now, would kind of prompt us to possibly upgrade. You guys hear that plane? If not, this mic's doing a good job. So when the announcement came out, most of us were like, that's all we did. So today I was cruising through the internet, of course, and I saw the Canon USA ad for the M50 Mark II. So I wanted to kind of watch it. So I'm going to put it here on the screen, and we'll kind of talk about the comparisons between the M50 Mark II and the M50 original Mark I, whatever you want to call it. And yes, there are going to be some differences in the Mark II because it's a Mark II. And the hope is that by the end of this video, for those that are possibly looking at this camera, especially the Mark II, you can make a better, maybe more informed decision as to whether the Mark II is a good camera for you, or if you want to kind of snoop around and see if you can find an M50, because it really does everything you want. You can probably find one of those right now, especially at a better price, or even if you were looking at buying used. So let's look at the video first, and we're going to go over here.
A typical day in my life is beautifully complicated. I use many different Canon products for a wide variety of applications, but the all-new Canon EOS M50 Mark II mirrorless camera checks off a ton of boxes.
Okay, so we're stopping it because first thing she's kind of setting up here is using the M50 for video chatting, so using it as a webcam. And yes, the Mark II can do that. The M50 Mark I, we'll call it Mark I. Mark I can also do that. So nothing new there, nothing new at all. Let's continue.
To kick off this day, my daughter has virtual school online, and with the EOS webcam utility and USB wire, it's completely effortless for remote calls and video chats. With my daughter all set up for school, I can head to my home office and get some work done.
As a side note, the original M50 also came in white, so you may also be able to find that, even though I don't think the white one was a huge seller, but it is available. Let's continue.
To market my business, I do a ton of social media, and I have to film myself a lot. Canon really caters to this need by offering vertical video recording and up to 4K.
Okay, so I want to pause it there. Video recording vertical. Kind of cool. It does it in camera, so it doesn't need to be auto-rotated. But for those of us that are using a smartphone, like an iPhone, and I'll talk about iPhones because that's really the system I use, and I'm not too sure about how it works on Android, but I think you could do it there too. Any video or photo that you take through this, when it's actually synchronized to your computer or synchronized to your iPhone, where it sends that, Photos application on the Mac and the Photos application on the iPhone, iPad, has the ability to rotate video. So is it a huge thing? No. Is it an extra step? Sure. So it is a perk or a bonus for sure if you primarily shoot vertical. If you're primarily shooting vertical, this could be a really big feature. But I would still say the majority of us will shoot horizontal and then crop into the section of the video that we possibly need, so that we can actually put that video out onto multiple platforms, not just in platforms that have a vertical bias, right? So yes, I want it for Instagram. I get that. Instagram stories, sure. But I also want to be able to put that video up on YouTube, and I also want to put that video up on Vimeo, and I also want to, so if I'm going to have to just shoot it once, I still want to do it horizontal. But cool. Could it have been a firmware upgrade for the M50? Without question. All right, continue.
Or laying the camera on the ground or propping it up against the desk, the Canon BRE1 tripod and grip makes setup a snap. It even has a Bluetooth controller to trigger recording.
Okay, again, I'm stopping this real fast because this big focus here is not even on the camera. This focus is on the actual tripod, that it has this ability to hold your phone vertically versus holding your phone horizontally, so that she doesn't have to prop her camera up against the desk or the floor or whatever she's propping it up against. That's pretty much any tripod. The tripod I have this camera on right here, I can slide it off to the side so that I can shoot vertically. You can buy a GorillaPod. You can shoot vertically. You can go on Amazon and buy little tiny tripods that cost you like $15. Guess what? Vertical. It's not a big deal. And I guarantee you that tripod from Canon, pretty expensive. Will it have all the Bluetooth remote features? Possibly not. And if you have a smartphone, you can literally just set up a trigger for that way and use your smartphone to trigger your camera. So it's a nice little add-on. Could it have been added on just to the M50? Probably, firmware. But okay, off we go. More watching.
The camera has an interchangeable lens system and a vari-angle touchscreen LCD that makes self-filming simple and will get a...
I didn't even have to go far for this one. It's the M series. It's not a big thing for the M50. It's yeah, I get it. Interchangeable lenses. Sure. Yeah. Touchscreen. Good. Flip out screen. M50 had it. That's
of use on a day like today.
And you'll even see right here, she's actually using the application that I was talking to transfer all that video directly to her phone, so that she's using this anyway to do her posting. So that step is still a part of it. So even with the M50, the only extra part that you would have really is the rotating of the video, and that's not a big step. So I take it back. Not a huge feature, in my opinion, I guess. But if it's included, sure.
With my social media post scheduled and done, it's off to my studio for a live broadcast. The Canon EOS M50 MK2 makes live streaming simple with its built-in web encoder, which allows me to broadcast to YouTube right from the camera.
Okay, this feature I do think is kind of cool. Not having to utilize anything like a smartphone or have it stream through your computer using any kind of additional software. It sounds like it's all done via the camera itself to go to YouTube. So it's got that all built into it. That I think is pretty cool for anybody that's looking for a camera to do live streaming to YouTube. Now the issue becomes this. That's a great starting point for someone that's looking at doing very entry level. And most people that are doing entry level streaming are going to be using strictly their smartphone anyway, because they can just download the YouTube app and literally kind of hit broadcast and you're good to go right from your iPhone or your Android phone. If you're wanting to use more, I want to say professional cameras and make that look a little better, you're going to want to use computer-based software so that you can have transitions and you can have screen recordings and you can have graphics come in and you can have your M50 connected to it and you can actually almost switch between all these while you're doing a live stream. All of a sudden, that feature you're going to grow out of pretty fast, I think. And you have to be in a scenario that's connected to your own Wi-Fi. So you're not going to be able to be out, at a concert live streaming from this without your smartphone, because this isn't going to have cellular connectivity. So that's an issue as well, right? So I think they talk about not needing any of these other devices, but they omit the fact that you still need a Wi-Fi connection. All right, let's keep going.
If you want to use a wire, you can also export a clean, unmarked video signal through the camera's HDMI port. No more information display overlays like in the original M50.
Now, I do think that's cool, and I do think that a clean HDMI is nice. And again, not a hard firmware update to send to the original M50, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that. So if you are someone that's going to be recording to an external recorder for whatever reason, then that's a huge bonus, right? You're not going to have all that information on your screen. It's nice, clean. It's just the video. But you also have to think of the people that are buying this kind of camera. Are they going to spend $600 on this camera and the same amount on an external video recorder? I have my doubts.
Audio is important here, so I'm using Canon's on-camera microphone for a great forward-facing sound.
Again, now we're just into accessories. The M50 had external audio recording. I use it all the time. I could take this. Here it is. Right? Mic. Pop. We're good. External mic. Interchangeable lenses. Tell me something new. Give me something new.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Joy, Canon Explorer of Light, and we are...
I'm going to say the audio that she's recording right there, if that's supposed to sell me, that's not great audio, just to say it.
live here on YouTube to talk all about social media and how to be seen. It's the largest marketing platform there is, so you need to take advantage of it. There's a whole line of Canon EFM interchangeable lenses, and this Canon sling bag offers plenty of room for all of my accessories.
Okay, so I am going to stop you there. I do have the Canon and some third-party different adapters to be able to put my EF lenses on the M series, which I really like, and I do 100% encourage you that if you are going to buy an M series camera, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, the M50 original, the M50 Mark II, the M6, the M6 Mark II, anything like that. I encourage you to not, if this is going to be a camera that you're going to use for a while, then I encourage you to buy EF lenses. For one, they're a little bit cheaper, and secondly is that if you ever decide to go away from the M series, because I don't think the M series is going to be around for much longer, and this may be just my own personal thoughts, but I think the M series is on its way out, and that's why they didn't invest a lot of new features into the M50. But if you buy EF lenses and you end up buying an R series, so a Canon RP, an R5, an R6, whatever it is, whatever that comes out down the road, then your EF lenses can also be transferred onto that body with an adapter. If you buy an M series or M series lenses, that's all they're good for. So this little lens on here, this is the kit lens. This is the 15 to 45, I believe it is. 15 to 45. This is the only M series lens that I own. And when I sell this camera, this lens is going with it, because all my other lenses that I have fit on these cameras that I use right now. So they're completely interchangeable. They work on this camera and they work on this camera. So that's my tip to you. And now she's talking about a bag. You don't need a Canon bag. Just buy a bag.
I'll be doing some vlogging in the field too, so I'll need the space.
And I guarantee you can buy a nicer bag for the price of that, for sure.
For a little me time at one of my favorite shore towns. This sling bag is perfect for day tripping or as a carry-on. It has a crossbody strap for comfort and an easy on-off buckle.
Pretty sure this was an M50 video, not an accessories video.
The Canon EFM lens line is well established and offers plenty of variety to work seamlessly with the M50 Mark II's APS-C CMOS sensor. The electronic viewfinder plus touch and drag autofocus capabilities make capturing great shots almost...
All that is on the M50. Now, I will say they have probably, because I don't know, I haven't been able to test it, they have probably enhanced it and made it a bit faster, but the technology, I think, in its core is the same. Have they sped it up a little bit? Without question. Could this have been, again, a firmware upgrade? I 100% believe so, because they have the same processor inside them. Same processor, same sensor, same pretty much everything. So this really is like a firmware upgrade that they've just put in a new body, because when the M50 even came out, I don't believe it had eye detection, but they did it in a firmware upgrade. So the eye detection only in photo mode, I believe. It wasn't there originally, and firmware upgrade, they added it. So a lot of this stuff, I'm pretty sure they could have just implemented.
Effortless. The images out of this Canon EOS M50 Mark II are tack sharp, clear, vibrant, and colorful. It's the perfect camera for vacations, day trips, and any kind of travel.
Now, I will agree with her in regards to a travel camera. I have the R6, which is what I'm shooting on right now. I have the RP, and I have the M50. And when I want something light that is beyond my smartphone, I always grab the M50, just because it's such a small, compact, very capable camera without question. But even more recently, I've been moving and taking my RP out because it has some additional features that I like. And I can use the RF lenses, which I like better than the M series, of course. And it's not a lot heavier. Put the RP in your mind too. If you're looking at the M50, it's a little bit more expensive, but not a lot. And it gets you into the RF line of cameras. So all those new lenses that are coming out, and into a full frame, a little bigger, but you know, sometimes it's worth just saving your pennies if you just want to get into a camera and you're not someone that swaps camera bodies every year or two. So invest into a nice full frame. I love the RP. The RP is a fantastic little camera.
The Canon EOS M50 MK2 is meant for a variety of photographers and filmmakers. The updated AI servo focusing, which now works in video mode too, and improved eye detection gives vloggers like me the confidence to just turn the camera around and film yourself with ease and accuracy.
Okay, so here's one thing that they don't talk about, and it's really a point that because they're not talking about it, I believe it's just not there. So in the beginning, they talked about shooting 4K in the M50 Mark I, as well as the M50 Mark II 4K. I get it. But it doesn't use dual pixel autofocus. And they talk about this enhanced autofocus on here. But again, what they don't talk about is that enhanced autofocus being able to be used when it's in 4K, which the M50 Mark I couldn't do either. If they would have enabled dual pixel autofocus in 4K, that could have completely been enough of a reason to update to this, especially if it could have went no crop, which again, they don't talk about. So because they're not talking about it, you kind of have to guess that it's not there. This is the same sensor again, same processor, same limitations are going to be on this M50 Mark II versus the M50. And the only things that have changed, as far as I can see, is something that they could change via software or firmware.
Something special about being here after Labor Day when all the tourists have gone home, you don't have to pay to get on the beach, and it's just more serene. It's nothing but locals. There's even an adapter, so don't worry, you can use your Canon EF series lenses on the M50 Mark II. Back at the homestead, it's time to test this baby on my babies. Kids will be kids, and that built-in eye detection lets me capture their little moving faces instead of asking them to sit still for a picture. They don't love that. While the first version of the Canon M50 had the ability to wirelessly transfer images to compatible devices, the Canon EOS M50 Mark II now allows you to upload your images directly to image.canon for safekeeping.
Okay, so a couple of points. They talk about the eye detection. Yes, it was on both. Supposedly on the Mark II, it is faster, so it has a better ability to track while the subject is moving. Can this be a big thing? Most definitely if you're shooting kids or anything that's not going to be stationary or something that's fast moving, a person, for instance. What they don't talk about is any kind of animal eye detection. So I don't even think that's been included. That's kind of a, because a lot of us like taking pictures of our cats and dogs and pets, right? Or wildlife photographers. I've seen some beautiful wildlife photos, tack sharp on the eye. Why? Because it had animal eye detection. Not so on the M50. Now, it talks about these new Wi-Fi things, and that's great if you want to use their services. But for me, I don't use their services, so not a big deal anyway. They're trying to get you into using Google services or Canon services.
There's no longer a need to clog up your phone with high-resolution images. You can easily move the images at image.canon to Google Photos for quick access and long-term storage. The autofocus is better than ever. The Canon EOS M50 Mark II eye detection now kicks in with your subject when they're further away from the camera than ever before. Even if your subject is as fast as my little guy here, you'll notice the eye detection grab on much sooner than with the original M50.
And I'll agree, that's a nice feature without question. Anything that makes it faster, thumbs up.
There is a great line of accessories for the Canon EOS M50 Mark II,
Back to
including
accessories.
this EL100 flash that's handy for those low-light indoor settings. The Canon EOS M50 Mark II really holds its own even on a commercial shoot. Here I'm grabbing some food photography.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the
shots on the
M50.
new
It's a
line of
great
billboards
little
by
camera
Flatworld.
and plenty of resolution.
I was extremely impressed with this camera's images. They are full of detail, color, and crispness that are sure to make these photos stand out. Bottom line, there's so much packed into this compact and lightweight camera system that it's a great solution for budding photographers, food and product photographers, social media content creators, moms like me, and live streamers. It really is the by-your-side camera that's sure to work as hard as you do.
So here's my final thoughts on the new M50 Mark II. If you are already an owner of an M50 Mark I, like myself, would I go out and buy a Mark II? No, there's just nothing there. There's just not enough there to warrant me moving or upgrading to a Mark II. It's a simple decision. There's just nothing there. There's just a couple little tweaks that they've done to the software and firmware. And again, I firmly believe that this could have been something that they upgraded the M50 with. If you are looking at a new camera and moving up from a smartphone, for instance, or you have an older camera and are looking at getting into a mirrorless and you want something travel friendly and small and light, has interchangeable lenses, then I think the M50 Mark II is a great camera. The M50 Mark I was really good, and the Mark II does everything it does with some added bonuses. So why not get the added bonuses? Because it's priced the same. It's priced the same really as the M50 was. So I think it's a great deal. I do think though at that price point, you may want to look around at some of the other brands, because in and around that area, especially if things like 4K is important to you for video, the autofocus in 4K on the M50 is not great, because it's not dual pixel, it's contrast detected. So I'm not a huge fan of that, and I wish they would have changed that. Now I think a better option, and I said this earlier, is that if you're going to be spending, $700 US for an M50 Mark II, honestly, I would just save my pennies and see if I can save up, and even go to a Canon RP. See what you can get for that extra couple $100 to get you into a full frame camera, or get you a camera that, may be able to shoot 4K better. For me, that would be better. I would rather right now, if I was going to buy another camera and I had either the M50 Mark II, I'd buy another RP without question. I would easily buy the RP over the Mark II M50. But there are also some other cameras that I'd probably look at. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I just wanted to show this video and really dig into it, because a lot of people will look at that and be like, oh, wow, look at all the updates they've done. Really, they didn't do a lot of updates, and they actually spent a fair bit of time just talking about accessories. The tripods, the bags, the lights. It's a weak upgrade, without question. Okay, guys, comments down below. Do your stuff. Get out there. Let me know what you think, and we will talk to you in the next video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'm out. Later, my friends.